Hey everyone, so I'm making a quick video here. I recorded a video earlier that was my intro, and I don't know if I'm going to redo that or not. I'm kind of frustrated, but my webcam isn't apparently working. So right now I've got my computer recording and I've got my phone recording, which I'm talking to. So whatever, I'm going to kind of roll with it. I'm going to move this over a little bit. It's right over top of my computer right now. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys 3 different ways in the next 3 videos how to design this. Okay, now this is not something we need or in that mass supply, okay? But it's a good example of something that you might want to create, which has specific dimensions, diameters here, 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 and here, with an inlet. This is with all these people making these various respiratory equipment, supplies, adapters, whatnot. We're all kind of relying on someone else to design them, but don't know how to design them ourselves. We're just trying to print them to help produce, which is great. But sometimes maybe it would be nice to have more people kind of trying to figure out the problem and reproduce various components if we need to help those that are running out of supplies. So anyway, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to design this, okay? They're all different. There's one that is probably the fastest, but it doesn't matter, because for other things you might make, you might find that, option A might be the best for this, and B might be the best for this, and C might be the best for this. So I think that the 3 different approaches will be helpful. So I'm not going to repeat this introduction in the subsequent videos. The first video will start in just a second here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to keep the screen running, my camera running up top, because I don't know if I'm going to have to go back to it. Oh, I will. I'm going to be taking some measurements. Okay, so first things first. On the video here, I'm going to switch gears for a second. So on the software, I am in Fusion360. Now, Fusion360 is a software that I use to design things like this, rather than Mesh Mixer or something. Okay, so what am I going to do is when you create something in Fusion360, it relies on making a sketch. Okay, is what it's called, a 2-dimensional drawing, and then turning that into 3 dimensions. So we need to create some dimensions. Now these dimensions are going to differ depending on what we're trying to create. So I'm going to open up Notepad and write some things down. So the most important things on this device right here, and by the way, this is an oxygen inlet for a ventilator. So basically you've got one tube here, sort of this is the male end of this adapter, goes into a female end on the circuit, as they call it, the hose. And then there's a female end or male end that comes in here from the hose into this female end on this adapter. So male end, female end. And on this side, at this part, it's got a little oxygen inlet. Don't worry about the cap. I'm just worried or focused. I'll go ahead and pull this off. In this video, we're going to recreate this side, and this. So what do we need to know? First of all, we're going to say male side on my computer, male. We've got the inside diameter, the outside diameter. Sorry, I'm typing with one hand. Then I've got the female. Same thing, inside diameter, outside diameter. And then we've got the M to F distance, so the length. Okay. And we've also got the oxygen inlet, IO, male or inside diameter, outside diameter, and the length. So probably should also appear, include the length of these 2 guys. So how much do we need for the hose to slide over? So duh on my end, I should have thought of that. Okay, so if you haven't watched my videos before, I'm probably going to forget things and say, oh yeah, don't forget about doing this. Sorry, I don't pre-script my videos. If you're new to my videos, I just kind of go off the cuff. Probably make some mistakes, probably make lots of mistakes, but hopefully you'll be able to see how I fix and address those mistakes. So caliper, digital caliper is what I like. These are about $15 or less. You can get them at the Harbor Freight, various tool places, Ace Hardware, and also online. Okay, if you go to my website, baronglitterdds.com, under accessories, 3D printing tools, you'll see a link to Amazon. It's probably 15 bucks. Okay, so you can get that. I also am testing right now while recording this video. Who knows if it's working? I designed a printable caliper, 2 pieces, and it should be precise down to 1/10 of a millimeter. So we'll see how that works. Look for my other videos on that. That way, if you don't have one of these, you lose this, you break it, whatever, you can always have more, and assuming it works. I found some online. I just honestly didn't like them. I'm a bit of a stickler. I like how I want it to work the way I want it to work. I didn't find any that were anything like this. And this is my head was thinking, I think this is how this should work, and so I just made it happen. I also recorded a video of how I made it. It's a long video, probably. I think the video was 1 hour and 20 minutes, but there was time in the middle where I had to take a step away. So it's probably almost an hour designing the whole thing. I had fun doing it, and I'll share it online. There's no talking. I mean, there's just random ambient noise. So I'll probably post it, speed it up a bit, put some music to it. If you want to see how I designed it, and then cool. If not, no big deal. Anyway, for now, I'm going to use this digital caliper. So we need the male side. The male inside diameter, so we're going to use the small part that go this way, get the inside diameter, and it is, make sure I like to draw in millimeters. It says it is 18.16, so I'm going to round up and say 18.2. And outside diameter on this side, it's going to be 22.2. The length, $21 millimeters. Now let's go to the female. 22 millimeters. Outside diameter, 25.2. Length. Sorry, I gotta think about this for a second because I'm gonna measure the inside component here. Oh, sorry, because I want to know how big this part should be, how deep the other hose is going to penetrate inside of here. So 21 millimeters. We use these at home all the time. Just our circumstances at home. So I can tell you it does not matter. 21 millimeters should be fine. Okay, male to female total length. We can always do some math from here if we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this is 63 millimeters. And I'll go ahead and add another measurement in here, which is technically the difference, which I should be able to add from what I just did. Should be this come out the same, and we'll say it's 21 millimeters. So 21 plus 21, 42, plus 20, 62, and I had 63, so pretty close. We're going to use either one of these measurements, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so now, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure one thing that's kind of a little bit different here. Again, I told you I'm off the cuff. See this little guy right here, this little rim? Sort of a stop, okay? And it's the same thickness over here. Well, not quite the same, but we'll pretend it is. So we've got 2.5 millimeters, and we'll just call them both 2.5. So 2.5 rim. That will actually provide some value to us in a little bit for how we're going to make the transitions. So, okay, now we've got the oxygen inlet. Let's see about the diameter. These really small diameters are a little bit tricky to measure sometimes. This isn't too small. So it's 4.2. 4.2. Outside diameter. 6.5. It was just shy of that, but I'd rather go a little higher. I will tell you that these adapters, all rubber hose attached to it, so I'd rather go a little bit higher because I know that it will slide over top. These parts are always going to be plastic. They're not going to be quite as flexible, but we'll manage. Okay, and then length. Okay. So, this is interesting because from here to here, it is 5.3 or 15.3. The part that's interesting is technically the interior part here. This diameter right in the middle is skinnier. Okay? It's smaller than anything else, smaller than any other outer diameter. I'm going to skip that. And the reason I'm going to skip that is because I think it adds unnecessary complexity. It's a bottleneck, but it's not really a necessary bottleneck because it has the same interior diameter as this. So yeah, it'll save some resin by not having it, but it's so thin, it's probably going to be good to have some more bulk there. So you'll see how my design is going to look a little different. Okay, so we've got a whole list of dimensions here, lots of diameters and whatnot. So let's take a look and see what we can do with this. So the first thing I'm going to do in Fusion360 is I need to make a sketch, a two-dimensional image, and from there I'm going to turn that into a three-dimensional image. So in this first approach, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to click right down here in the base. You can click at any one of these planes. This is just what you're drawing on. Click there, and I'm going to click top on this little widget over here just so I can look straight down on it. Now, I don't like that it turned 90 degrees. I like to be able to read the words. Sounds sort of silly there, but trust me, it's helpful for me. So these are all circles. So that's pretty simple. Up here are all our tools and how we can draw. We can draw a line, a rectangle, a circle, a little squiggly line basically, do some mirroring, various things. And we can also, if you click here, there's even more options. We can modify whatever lines we draw by using these tools. We can cut things out. We can make a fillet, which is basically rounding corners. We can make an offset, so if we just want to increase the diameter or whatever, skinny things up. And there's other things here. Constraints are, I'm still a novice in the software. About the only constraint I use is going to be perpendicular, or more often than not, it's the midpoint. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that I use. I've used tangent, maybe parallel. I have used parallel. I don't use a lot of the constraints. So inspect, I don't use this much, almost ever. Measuring things, I guess. I do insert images at times. We won't be doing any of that. And then let me go ahead and pause for just a second. All right, hopefully I timed that correctly. Okay, so I'm back. I was just helping my daughter. Okay, so in this approach, I'm going to show you how to make each individual component, sort of connecting them one at a time. So we're going to make multiple sketches, multiple two-dimensional sketches. So first thing we need to do is we need to pull up our dimensions. So we're going to start with the male component. Male component, continue to the body, continue to the end, and then we'll attach the air inlet. So for the male, we have an inside diameter of 18.2 and an outside diameter of 22.2. So to draw a circle, I'm going to come right here, click on Create Circle, click right here where I want it to start, and I could move it around, but it's a whole lot easier if I just start typing 18.2. Click Enter, and I can zoom in here. Now, if I had clicked my mouse, then the software would have known that I wanted to make another circle, or assumed I wanted to. But I didn't. I clicked the Enter key button, which it removed it from this. It didn't keep the circle as the active tool, which is fine. But it's something that's nice to know, because if you want to make a bunch of circles, if I just for example here, I can keep creating circles so long as I don't hit enter. But once I say, oh, I want this, hit enter button, or sorry, that was weird. Sorry about that. If I click here and I'm like, okay, I want to make this, I type in 45 and I click the enter button on the keyboard, it's no longer on the circle tool. So just be aware of that. If you're going to make a bunch of them, try clicking the mouse. Okay, a couple things that I could, if I know that the offset, the difference is 2 millimeters or 4 millimeters total, so a 2 millimeter radius, I could come in here to the offset tool, click on this, and just type in 2 millimeters. Now I know I have the perfect thing. That just happened to be that they were both 0.2, and it might not always be that way. Okay, look at the female end. was 22 and then 25.2. So, you can use that, but I would say that, it's a good tool. I do use it, but in this case, not what I'm going to recommend. Okay. So I've got the inside diameter. I still need to make the outside. So I can click here. Be aware that there are other options. The default is that you're clicking the center, but let's say you actually wanted to make a set of overlapping circles. I can click here, and now that's just one side of it. And if I say, what's 18.2, now it's a Venn diagram of some sorts. You can make multiple. And there's other options. There's 3-point circles. There's various tangential circles and whatnot. But that's sort of beside the point right now. I just want to show you always look to the right about the different options. So click here where we want this and say 22.2. Done. Okay, so that's the male end. That's the inside diameter, outside diameter. I'm not going to make all these little indents. They're great, lovely, whatever, and maybe they help, but not for what we're trying to accomplish here. I just need something that's going to be tight, and it's going to be a tight fit. The fact that there is an indent will probably help because it creates sort of a varying amount of friction. So we could, create a little indent there, but for this design and this video, I won't, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and say Finish Sketch. Now, if I want to turn this so it looks like I can see it from the side, first of all, buttons, if you press the left button, it allows you to highlight things. It allows you to click on things, okay? If you press the right button, it brings up a menu. If you press the wheel button, it allows you to move things around. If you hold the Shift button and then press the wheel button, allows you to tip. Okay, so now we get a chance to see in 3 dimensions. Okay, so that is going to be important in a second, but for now, we are going to extrude this rim to make it 3 dimensions. We've got a 2-dimensional sketch. We want to make it 3 dimensions. And we said that the length of this male end is going to be 20 millimeters. So I'm going to click. Right now we've got this sketch done. We can make another sketch, or we can start making it into 3 dimensions. We're going to create something with it. And we're going to focus on the Extrude tool here. Click on this. Click on the part I want to extrude, which is not the inside. You can't probably see it very well, but it's kind of white there. If I click on this, it makes it blue. I don't want that. I want this. If I wanted them both, I could do that. But now I've got just this rim, and if I click, now I type, what did I want? 20 millimeters? 20 millimeter length. 20, done. Now you can't see anything, but if I turn it, there it is. Okay. Okay. So one more thing I want to do is, because I need to sort of, I need to make that, well, I don't want to get into that yet. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about this for a second. Sorry. Yeah. I need to make this stop. So what I didn't do, and let's go ahead and do this right quick. The stop diameter of this is 25 millimeter, or 25.2, which is the same as the female side, which makes sense. So, oops, I forgot I needed to sketch that. So what's cool about SketchUp is I don't have to undo what I did. I can just right click on this, which is the sketch. See how it's the same as up here, or the same. This is the sketch. If I right click on this and say Edit Sketch, I can say, okay, I forgot something. Let's click on the circle. Let's click here and say 25.2. Okay? Hit Finish Sketch again, because we're done making that addition. But why did I want to do that? Well, I want to create this stop. And how am I going to do this? Well, come over here. Here's your menu of everything you have. Right now we have the origin, which is all of our XYZ planes and whatnot, which is almost never use that. You'll get components if you want, which is a whole nother level of sophistication or complication. But for now, we have the bodies, which we only have one body right now, one object basically. And then we also have the sketch menu. If we had multiple sketches, you'd see them all listed. You can name them, if you want to. Well, you should be able to. You can rename body. There you go. But we're not trying to do that, but that's something you can do. I just double-clicked on it, which made it think I wanted to edit it. But I do want to turn the sketch on, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create that stop I mentioned. So how do I do that? I'm going to click on this Extrude button again. And sometimes I can click on the internal rim, but sometimes you can't when your object gets complicated. So if you flip it over, you'll be able to grab it a little bit easier. Just know that sometimes if you have a big object and you're like, well, I can't highlight that. I can highlight the outside one, but I can't highlight the inside one. I don't want that. Oops. So flip it over, and now I can see both. Here, here. Oh, sorry. I hit escape button. So I want both of them highlighted. And now I want to create a rim up here because I want both of them extruded up to here. So I know that instead of the default, which is where is it going to start, is at the profile plane where it was drawn, I need to change it to an offset from an offset plane, meaning a plane that is so much higher. Well, how much higher is the question? Well, we had extruded this initial cylinder by 20 millimeters. So the same amount, 20. Okay, so now when I extrude it, it's going to be from here. You see that? Now I'm going to change the dimension to 2.5 because that's what we measured before. And I'm done. I hit enter right there, by the way. We can hide this sketch now because we don't really need this right now. And so now you can see that it's got the uniform inside diameter, but a varying outside diameter, because this is where the other hose is going to slide on top, and it's going to stop when it hits here. Probably not all that necessary because you're not going to just keep sliding, but this is how it has it, so we're going to go ahead and create that. All right, now we need to create the next component, which is the body of it. I'm going to go ahead and cheat a little bit, and I'm just going to continue the dimensions of this. But to do that, I need to create another sketch in this version of what I'm doing here. So if I click this again, and now I get right on top of this rim and click here, it's going to allow me to draw again. I can sit top, so I can center over top of it. It's going to give me all the same dimensions, all the same things that are outlined at this plane, which is nice. So I've got both of these. I could just extrude these too, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another circle that is that same outside diameter, which was 22.2. Done. I could redraw the inside one, 18.2, but as you'll see, I can go ahead and click it anyways because it assumes that line might be relevant. And so now I knew the distance I wanted here. That one measurement I mentioned earlier that I went ahead and threw on there, which was 16 or whatever. What did I write down? I wrote down, oh, I think I measured, yeah, so from here it's 16.5, whatever, 16.5. So I'm going to type in 16, oops, I'm in the wrong window, 16.5. There we go. So now I've got the middle part. And lastly, I need to create the female part. Okay. So I need to make another sketch. Click, sketch. And so for this one, sorry, I need to make another rim. So I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to, first of all, center over top of this. I have the inside diameter. I need to make an outside diameter. Here's a little tip for you. If you hover over top of a tool, you'll see right here it says center diameter circle. It also gives you instructions on how to use it, which can be really handy and if it's a tool you're not exactly certain where to click, what things to click on, especially when you get in like more sophisticated functionality where you're connecting two different things, or it's hard to say. But read the directions. But also you'll see that it has a C next to it. That's because if I press the C button on my keyboard, it knows I want to draw a C. A circle. So what's that outside diameter I wanted? I believe it was, the female is going to be 25.2. So 25.2. Okay. Click Finish Sketch. Now I'm going to extrude. I'm going to click the inside and the outside, and I'm going to extrude it by 2.5 millimeters again. Okay. Oops. All right, so now I want to make the female end. So I've made the stop, I've made the transition, And so now I'm going to create another sketch. Click right on top here. And so let's look at what diameters we need for the female. We need the 22 on the interior, the 25.2, which we already have. So circle, C button. We need one more time, 22, 22, done. Finish sketch. Extrude, click on this. How tall did we want it? We wanted the female to be 21 millimeters. 21, done. All right, so that's basically it. Now we've made this is just basically a I'm sorry if I've had this up the whole time. I hope I haven't. If I have, I apologize if that was in the way. But, so now you see we've got everything we sort of need here. I mean, this is just would connect one hose to another, but we've got the main portion of the hose. We've got this. Is it exactly the same? No, it's not. We could create these little divots here, but for the most part, it's the same thing. Now all we need to do is attach this one little guy here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, there's a lot of different ways to do this. Okay. So, but I'm trying to think how I want to do this, but yeah, I'm going to do it. Okay, I know how I'm going to do it. We need to draw another tube that sticks out of there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an offset plane. Okay, because what I want to do is I want to draw. Sorry, I apologize. I hate stalling on you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, we know that the outside diameter of these are 22.2. Okay, the male, we have the 22.2, which means half of that sorry. Yeah, so half of that. So outside radius is 11.1. I wasn't hesitating on knowing the number. I was trying to think about what would be the best way to do that. So we've got, we'll come back to that in a second. So now I need to make another sketch, but this time I'm going to do it on, let's minimize this, sorry. I need to do it on this plane right here that bisects the whole tube. I'm going to click there. I'm going to click here. And now I'm going to be drawing it right in here. So I know that this line right here, sometimes I'll do this is kind of cheating, and it's not the cleanest way to do it, but I'll find out where the middle is, and I'll just draw a line. I can always delete this line later, but now I know where the middle is, especially of my object, or actually I didn't do that right, because there. This tells me the middle length, roughly the middle lengthwise, or I could find out exactly, but it's not exactly the middle, but close enough. And I know that the middle of the line is the middle of this cylinder. So again, I'm kind of cheating, but I'm going to click over here. And so now I can hide this and I can draw without that getting in the way. Because when you go to draw things, sometimes it interferes with what you're trying to do. So I can hide this. And now I can go ahead and make my circle, my actual, my oxygen inlet. So I know that the internal diameter is going to be 4.2, 4.2. And the outside diameter was 6.5, 6.5. Okay, guess what? We're done. So now, though, what we need to do is we need to extrude this. Now, I said I want this oxygen inlet to be 15.3 millimeters. Okay, yeah, 15.3. But I also need to get out of it. So I also need 11.1 to get to because this is the middle of the actual object. Let's turn this on for a second. We need to get from here to the edge and then our 15.3. So what's the real distance I need? 24.4. So I really need to get, or sorry, 26.4. Let me pause for just a second. Anyway, hopefully I get that right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this by that dimension, that 26.4. Okay, so I'm going to move this around. I'm going to click extrude. Oh, let me hide this because I want to show you something. Because I put that line there to make things easier for me, it's split into two different sides. Not a big deal, but just be aware of that. You know, it's kind of something you should understand. You need to understand, I should say. 26.4. That's interesting. Oh, yeah. It was telling me I want to fix that because I want to show you something. When I hit edit feature, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit. I hid all bodies. Okay, I didn't turn off just this body. I turned off all bodies. So when I click extrude, click here, I've already told it do not show any bodies, any three-dimensional objects. So I type 26.4. Down here is my warning. Pay attention to these warnings. They're important. Sometimes they're telling you why a function doesn't work. This time it is working. It's just saying, hey, you're not going to see it visible because you told me to turn off the bodies. There it is. So let's talk a little bit about this. Right now it's red because it assumes that I want it to cut whatever this is, a Boolean operation. Cut this out. I can also say join, which makes it one solid thing. I can also do it a new body, new components, whatever, but we'll just say new body. Okay? So when you do this, if I just now click OK, I now have two different bodies. And okay, we've gotten all the way back to the point where I'm going to hit edit feature and I'm going to go ahead and just say join, because that's how I would, in my mind, that makes the most sense. So by doing it here, now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click here and hit delete. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn the sketch back on. Where was that sketch? This guy right here. And I'm going to, I could turn this off to view it better, but instead I'm just going to click here, extrude, click on the two internal components, and I'm going to just say whatever, 30 millimeters. And the default it assumes that I want is to cut. I could tell it to join, that would be kind of dumb, but you know, whatever. So leave it uncut, and there we go. So all that work, trying to find a different way, that's a pretty quick way to re-bore out that hole. It's hard to tell from this view, but it is there. You can see the reflection, how it's the opposite. And then if you look from the inside, you can see the hole. So that's it. Now, because I'm picky, I'm going to go ahead and do one final thing to make this look a little bit nicer, especially around here, so this doesn't break off. And I will say that these parts here do break off sometimes. If you look at theirs, they actually have a flat rim that's been designed on there. I think that's probably more for manufacturing, just makes it easier for them. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do what's called a fillet. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on this rim right here, and then I'm going to type in 1. Let's just see what a 1 millimeter fillet makes it look like this. Okay, now that is on a constant radius right now. If I change it to a constant chord length or chord length, it looks a little different. I think it looks better when it's constant chord, but I think I usually use constant radius, but I'm usually doing right angles. So we'll do that, and we'll also come in here and change that to, well, we've already got, oops, I just jumped that up to 9 millimeter chord length. Let's change that back. And then I'm going to make another one. I can hit OK and then click the button again, or I can just add another area that I want to work on, which is this interior one. Let's say if I do 1 millimeter again, it's pretty rounded. It's a smaller diameter, so I'm just going to go to 0.5 millimeters. And that's it. Okay, so let's look at something real quick. You see this red X? This is because I tried to delete that spot. Edit feature. It was Oh, no, that was the red X. It's correct. Sometimes if you see a red X, that's usually, or a red sign, that's usually something's bad. It's just an X meaning deleted. So, okay, that's it. So this object is now created. You could print this. Be a little bit tricky because of this guy sticking off here, but I would probably print it just like this, vertically this way, and then deal with removing the supports. You might have to have supports on the inside. You know what? Scrap that. The size of this, I would print it vertically like this, and then well, printing this is a bit tricky, honestly. There's a lot of support requirements here, but yeah, I'd probably print it. If you print it this way instead, you ensure there's no internal supports, which are important. And if there are external supports, it'd be easier to deal with. It just would be a little bit tricky to have this rim supported. That's what makes me worry. So honestly, I'd print it twice. Once in direction, see which one works the best. You're going to have supports supporting this sticking out, but whatever, you'll deal with that. So anyway, now you know how to design something like this. I'll make a subsequent video which designs it much faster, but because it's going to repeat a lot of the tools I've already shown. So I'm going to expect that you watch this video first to save us all time. All right, I will wrap this video up right now.